I stayed loyal to my broke boyfriend for 2 years. Then I saw he gifted a Ferrari to an Instagram model. Love is supposed to be about trust, loyalty, and standing by someone through hard times. At least, that's what I used to believe. So when I fell in love with Ryan, a man who claimed to be struggling financially, I didn't hesitate to support him. For 2 years, I worked double shifts to keep us afloat. I paid for our tiny apartment, covered the groceries, took care of the bills, while he worked a minimum wage job and gave me the same reassurances every night. I promise, one day I'll make enough to take care of you. I'll buy you a big house, a diamond ring. Just stay with me until things get better. And I believed him, because I loved him, because I thought we were in this together. But then, one night, I saw something that made my entire world collapse. Because Ryan wasn't broke. He had never been broke. And everything he had ever told me was a lie. It was a Friday night, and I was at my second job, bartending at an upscale lounge downtown. It wasn't my dream job, but it helped pay the rent and cover the extra expenses Ryan couldn't afford. And that night changed everything. I was carrying a tray of drinks, balancing glasses worth more than my entire paycheck, when I heard laughter. Loud, confident, the kind that made people turn their heads. At first, I ignored it. But then, as I stepped into the VIP section, I froze. Because there, sitting at a reserved table, dressed in a tailored suit that probably cost more than my rent, was Ryan. My Ryan. Laughing, drinking, looking like he owned the place. But it wasn't just that. He wasn't alone. Draped over his arm was a woman. A stunning influencer, the kind who had millions of followers, a designer wardrobe, and a life people envied on Instagram. She was giggling, twirling a Ferrari car key between her fingers. And then, she beamed at him. Ryan, I don't know how I'll ever repay you. My blood ran cold, because Ryan had told me he was struggling, that he barely had enough to get by, that he couldn't afford anything beyond the basics. And yet, here he was, gifting luxury cars like it was nothing. Someone in the room shouted, "Marry him. Kiss, kiss." And then, right there, in front of everyone, he kissed her. Not just a peck. A deep, intimate, full-on public display of affection. Like I didn't exist. Like our 2 years together had meant nothing. Like I had been a joke the entire time. The tray in my hands wobbled. For a second, I thought I was going to collapse. But somehow, I managed to hand off the drinks to a coworker before I ran to the bathroom, locking myself inside. And that's when I broke. I sobbed into my hands, my entire body shaking as the reality of what I had just seen crashed down on me. Ryan wasn't just cheating. He had never needed me at all. While I had been working 2 jobs, struggling to pay bills, skipping meals to make sure we had enough, he had been living a double life. One where he was rich, powerful, and generous, just not to me. I stayed in that bathroom for what felt like hours. I thought about all the nights I reassured him, telling him that money didn't matter, that I was willing to work hard for us. I thought about how he had held me just last night, whispering, "I love you, babe. I don't know what I'd do without you." And now he was out there, kissing another woman, gifting her a Ferrari, while I was breaking my back to pay for his groceries. My hands shook as I pulled out my phone, staring at his last message. "Ryan, love you, babe. Don't wait up for me tonight. Boss is making me work late." I clenched my jaw, because I knew exactly where he was. And it wasn't at work. I left the bar early, telling my manager I was sick. I went home, locked the door, and tried to breathe. I told myself I'd confront him in the morning, that I needed to be calm, collected, ready. But then, just past midnight, I heard the key turn in the lock. The door swung open, and there he was. Ryan, smelling like expensive cologne, looking casually relaxed, like he hadn't just been showering another woman in gifts. He smiled, stepping toward me, completely clueless. "Babe, the boss made us stay late again. Sorry I'm so late." I stared at him, my stomach twisting, because he was still lying to my face. Even now, even after everything. And that's when I knew. I couldn't just leave. I couldn't just cry and move on. No, I was going to destroy him. Because Ryan had spent 2 years playing me. And now, it was my turn to play him. Ryan was still lying to my face. Even after I had seen everything. The suit, The luxury gifts, the other woman, the kiss. He still stood there in our tiny apartment, pretending to be the same broke, struggling man I had spent 2 years supporting. And that was the moment something shifted inside me. Because before, I had been hurt. Before, I had been devastated. But now, I was furious. And I wasn't just going to walk away. I was going to make sure that when I left, I took everything from him first. I forced a smile, my heart pounding in my chest. Long shift. I asked, keeping my voice sweet. Ryan sighed, rubbing the back of his neck like he was exhausted. Yeah, my boss is a nightmare. You wouldn't believe how much work he dumped on me tonight. I bit my tongue to keep from laughing, because I knew exactly where he had been. I knew exactly who he had been with. And now, I was going to play his game better than he ever could. For the next 2 weeks, I acted normal. I still kissed him goodbye before work. I still cooked him dinner. I still listened to his fake struggles like I was the same gullible girlfriend I had always been. And every time he whined about money, I reassured him, "It's okay, baby. We'll get through this together." He bought it. Hook, line, and sinker. Because the thing about Ryan, he was so arrogant, so sure of himself, that he never even suspected I knew. And that made it so much easier to destroy him. Phase 1. Taking back what's mine. I had spent 2 years paying for Ryan's entire life. His rent, his bills, his food. And while I had been breaking my back working 2 jobs, he had been spending his real money on luxury gifts for other women. So the first thing I did, I started draining his accounts. See, Ryan wasn't exactly careful with his passwords. He always logged into his bank app on our shared laptop. And lucky for me, he never thought to log out. So while he was out lying to my face, I was transferring thousands of dollars into my own account, little by little. Nothing too obvious, just enough to bleed him dry without him noticing. And the best part? I was only taking what he owed me. Because after 2 years of me paying for everything, I was just getting my money back. Phase 2. Cutting him off. Ryan had gotten comfortable. Too comfortable. He never worried about paying bills, buying groceries, or handling responsibilities, because he knew I'd do it for him. So, one by one, I stopped. I canceled every single subscription under my name. His Netflix, his Spotify, his gym membership, his gaming services, all gone. I started ignoring his bills, letting the late notices pile up while he remained blissfully unaware. And when I saw his credit card statement one morning, I may have accidentally maxed it out on a few personal purchases. Oops. But the best part? Ryan still had no idea. Because every time he mentioned money problems, I just smiled and said, "Don't worry, babe. I've got us covered." And he believed me. Because Ryan was a fool. Phase 3. The perfect setup. Now that I had crippled him financially, I needed to make sure that when I finally left, he had nothing left to stand on. So I planned a little surprise. A romantic getaway. I told him I had been saving up for something special. A weekend at a luxury resort, just for us. One last chance to celebrate our love. Ryan? He was ecstatic. He kissed me, held me close, whispered, "You're the best thing that ever happened to me." I almost laughed. Because by the end of that trip, Ryan was going to regret ever meeting me. Ryan thought I was the perfect girlfriend. He thought I was still blind, loyal, and gullible. The same girl who had spent 2 years working myself to exhaustion while he lived a double life. But what he didn't know was that while he was playing me, I had already set the trap. And when it snapped shut, he was going to lose everything. The weekend getaway was the final piece of my plan. I booked a 5-star resort, the kind of place Ryan always said he would take me to once we had money. He was thrilled. He kissed me, twirled me around the room, told me he didn't deserve me. And for the first time in our entire relationship, he was finally right. The night before we left, I sent one last message. Not to Ryan, to Vanessa, the woman from the bar. The woman he had been spoiling with gifts while I worked double shifts. I had debated whether to include her in my plan. But then, I realized something. Liam had been cheating on all of us. And if I wanted to make this hurt, I needed an audience. I sent her a text with screenshots of everything. Me, "Hey, I know you don't know me, but I think we have something in common. His name is Ryan." It took 30 seconds for her to reply. "Vanessa, wait, what?" so I sent more. Screenshots of his texts, his bank records, his weekend getaway plans. With me, not her. And then, I asked her a simple question. Me, want to help me ruin his life? She didn't even hesitate. Vanessa, oh, I am so in. The next day, Ryan and I drove to the resort. The entire time, he was beaming, holding my hand, telling me how much he loved me. I smiled, squeezed his fingers, and whispered, I love you too. But inside, I was counting down the hours until his entire world collapsed. That evening, we checked into our suite. Ryan immediately flopped onto the giant bed, stretching like a king in his palace. Babe, this is incredible, he sighed. I'm so lucky to have you. I smiled. You really are. He had no idea what was coming. And that made it so much better. The real show started at dinner. The restaurant was high-end, private, exclusive, the perfect place for the night to end in disaster. Ryan was in a great mood, sipping his expensive wine, looking around like he belonged there. And then, the waiter arrived. Only, he wasn't alone, because standing behind him, in a stunning black dress, looking like she was ready to burn the entire world down, was Vanessa. And she wasn't alone. Behind her were two other women. Two other women Ryan had been stringing along, lying to, using, and the second he saw them, his entire body went rigid, because now he knew. He was screwed. Ryan looked like he had just seen a ghost. His jaw tightened, his eyes darted between me and the three women standing behind the waiter. He opened his mouth, probably to spew another lie, but for the first time in his life, words failed him, and I just smiled. Because after 2 years of lies, manipulation, and betrayal, Ryan was finally about to experience what it felt like to lose. The waiter cleared his throat. Sir, it seems you have some unexpected guests. Ryan let out a nervous laugh, shifting in his seat like he was searching for an escape. But there was none. Not this time. Vanessa was the first to speak. Hey, baby, she said sweetly, sliding into the empty seat beside him. Miss me? Ryan flinched, his hands curling into fists. Vanessa, what are you doing here? She raised an eyebrow. Oh, I don't know. Maybe I was just wondering why my boyfriend is on a romantic getaway with his other girlfriend. Ryan's face drained of color. And that was just the beginning. The second woman, Rachel, pulled out her phone and slammed it onto the table. On the screen, screenshots of Ryan's texts, messages he had sent to all of us. Copy-paste love confessions. The same empty promises, the same manipulative, you're the only one I love, lies. Ryan's face twisted into horror. This isn't what it looks like. I leaned forward, resting my chin in my hand. Oh, I don't know, Ryan. It looks like you've been lying to all of us. And just like that, the dam broke. Rachel let out a bitter laugh. You told me you were saving up for a house for us. Vanessa scoffed. He told me the same thing. The third woman, Isabel, crossed her arms. He told me he was broke, that he needed help with rent, so I lent him money. My stomach clenched, because that's exactly what he had done to me. Ryan had been playing all of us, pretending to be broke with some women, pretending to be wealthy with others, lying, cheating, using us all for different things. And now he was paying the price. Ryan tried to stand, but Vanessa grabbed his arm, her nails digging into his skin. Oh no, sweetheart. You don't get to run away this time. Ryan yanked his arm free, glaring at me. You set this up, he hissed. I grinned. Damn right I did. He looked around, his panic growing, because this wasn't just a confrontation. This was a public humiliation. And people were watching. I stood, smoothing out my dress, and pulled something out of my purse. A single sheet of paper. Ryan eyed it warily. What is that? I slid it across the table. An invoice. He frowned. For what? I tilted my head. For the past 2 years of my life that you stole. His hands shook as he skimmed the document. I had listed every single expense I had covered for him. Rent, groceries, utilities, gas, even the car insurance for the vehicle he conveniently couldn't afford to pay for. And at the bottom, the final total. Ryan's eyes widened in horror, because I wasn't just walking away. I was taking back everything he owed me. And legally, there wasn't a damn thing he could do about it. The entire restaurant was silent. And then, Vanessa burst out laughing. Rachel and Isabel joined in, their mocking giggles filling the air as Ryan sat there, completely ruined. I leaned down, my voice a quiet blade. You wanted to play games, Ryan? Well, congratulations. You just lost. Then, I turned to the waiter, handed him my credit card, and paid for only my half of the meal. Ryan could figure out how to pay for his own damn food. And with that, I walked out, leaving Ryan to face the wreckage of his own lies. Ryan was ruined. I had spent 2 years working myself to exhaustion while he lived a double life, lying to me, cheating on me, using me. And now he was paying for it. As I walked out of that restaurant, leaving him behind to face the mess he created, I expected to feel angry. I expected to feel vindicated. But instead, I just felt free. Because for the first time in 2 years, Ryan wasn't my problem anymore. And soon, he was about to realize just how bad things were going to get. I got a text from Vanessa the next morning. Vanessa, you are not going to believe this. I raised an eyebrow, sipping my coffee. Me. Oh? Do tell. Vanessa, Ryan's in full meltdown mode. He tried calling me all night, tried apologizing, saying it was all misunderstandings, and I was the only one he really loved. I snorted. Me, that's funny, because he told me the same thing. And Rachel, and Isabel. Vanessa, oh, but it gets better. Guess what his backup plan was? Me, oh, this I have to hear. Vanessa, he called his parents, and they told him to figure it out himself. I nearly spit out my drink, because if there was one thing Ryan had always counted on, it was his parents bailing him out. But now, even they were done with him. And that was just the beginning. A few days later, I got another text, this time from our landlord. And the message was beautiful. Landlord, hey, just letting you know Ryan's eviction notice has been served. His name was never on the lease, so I told him he has exactly 1 week to get out. Just thought you'd like to know. I grinned, stretching out on my couch, because of course Ryan had assumed he could keep living in the apartment I paid for. He probably thought he could convince me to take him back, that I'd feel guilty, that I'd give him one more chance. But Ryan had used up every last chance he would ever get from me. And now he was homeless. But the real downfall was yet to come, because while he was scrambling to figure out where to go, Vanessa, Rachel, and Isabel had been busy. See, Ryan didn't just lie to his girlfriends. He lied to everyone. And once the truth got out, his entire reputation was about to go up in flames. Vanessa wasn't just some random woman. She was connected. Her family had money, influence, power, and she had no problem using it. So what did she do? She called every single one of Ryan's contacts. His job, his friends, his old college buddies. She sent them the screenshots. She exposed everything. And within days, Ryan's entire world crumbled. His job? Gone. Turns out, his boss wasn't exactly thrilled to hear that his employee had been scamming women out of money while lying about being broke. His social circle? Gone. Nobody wanted to be associated with a guy who had just been publicly exposed as a serial liar and manipulator. Even the side women he hadn't met yet, they saw the posts. And instead of falling for his tricks, they started warning others. Ryan went from being the smooth, charming player to a cautionary tale. And that was the best revenge I could have ever asked for. A week later, I got one final message. Not from Ryan. From his mother. And what she said made me realize that Ryan's real punishment was just getting started. Ryan thought he could charm his way out of anything, that no matter how badly he screwed up, someone would always be there to save him. But this time, there was no one left. No girlfriends to scam, no friends to lean on, no parents to bail him out. And when I got that final message from his mother, I knew Ryan was finally facing the consequences of his actions. Ryan's mom, I don't know what happened between you two, but my son is in serious trouble. I stared at the message, eyebrows raised. Me, oh. Ryan's mom, he's broke. He can't pay rent. He lost all his credit cards. He said you ruined his life. I actually laughed out loud, because of course Ryan was still playing the victim. still trying to blame me for the mess he created. Me? Funny. He ruined mine first. She didn't respond right away. Then, after a moment, Ryan's mom, he told me everything was your fault, that you took all his money and left him homeless. I smirked, because of course Ryan was still lying, still trying to rewrite history. But his mother? She wasn't stupid, because before I could even reply, she sent another message. Ryan's mom, but I checked. I saw Vanessa's posts. I saw the messages. I know what he did. And that was the final nail in his coffin. Ryan's own family had turned on him. His mother wasn't just angry. She was furious. Not just because he had cheated, not just because he had lied, but because he had embarrassed their entire family. And knowing her, she wasn't going to let that slide. A week later, I got another update from a mutual friend. Dude, Ryan had to move back in with his parents. I grinned, because of course he did. After spending years pretending to be a big shot, after looking down on people who actually worked hard, after treating me like a backup plan, Ryan was now living in his childhood bedroom, broke and alone. And me? I had moved on. I never responded to his mother. I never checked in on him. I never gave him the satisfaction of thinking I still cared. Because real revenge isn't about getting even. It's about winning. And I had already won. Because while Ryan was stuck in the past, drowning in his own mess, I was finally free. And that was the happiest ending I could have asked for. Ryan thought I would regret leaving him, that I would miss him, that I would feel guilty, that I would come crawling back. But the truth? I had never felt freer. And Ryan was the one falling apart. A month passed, then 2. And in that time, Ryan's entire world collapsed. His job? Gone. His social circle? Gone. His side women? Gone. And now, he was truly alone. And the best part? His own family had given up on him too. I got a text from our mutual friend Jake one evening. Jake, you will not believe what just happened. I smirked. Me? Oh, do tell. Jake, Ryan tried to crash a party last night. Some rich guy's event. Security threw him out. Hard. I burst out laughing. Because of course Ryan was still trying to play the same game. Still trying to pretend he was the big shot, the wealthy bachelor, the charmer. But now, everyone knew the truth. And instead of being admired, he was just pitiful. But the best part came 2 weeks later, when I got one final message. From Ryan himself. It was long, dramatic, pathetic. A mix of anger, regret, and desperation. Ryan, I don't know how you can live with yourself after what you did to me. I loved you. I trusted you. And you ruined me. I stared at the message for a moment. Then, I just laughed. Because Ryan had spent years waiting for me to fail. But in the end, the only person who truly fell apart was him. And that was the best ending I could have asked for. I didn't respond. I didn't acknowledge him. I just blocked his number and went back to living my best life. Because Ryan was gone to me. And I was finally free. And that was the happiest ending I could have asked for.